we're on the field way too long defensively today for multiple reasons. One, we didn't sustain drives enough offensively, and we didn't get off the field defensively at times. And I thought we played hard. I thought we played hard today. I can't fault our effort, our execution, and in some ways, assignment gap wise, they exposed us in some ways, and again, we didn't tackle as clean, especially in the first half. I thought that we needed to win a game like this today. But again, I don't fault the effort of our guys and what the potential of this team is moving down the road.
What do you think is maybe the biggest thing you learned about your team today?
We have work to do. That's the biggest thing is that, we're, again, when you play against good teams like this and they have a fine football team with a lot of weapons, just like we talked about all week, and you saw them all get utilized today, whether it be the tight end, the backs, the receiver, everybody, the quarterback makes plays with his legs. So everything we thought they were, you could see, again, an excellent front seven that was physical. We struggled to get a running game going today, and that was all the things that I think you remember we talked about on Monday in the press conference, and it played out. Obviously, it was a concern, and at the same time, we were able to get the lead and do some things and have that. And again, I told our guys I'm proud of our effort, but they have to understand that we have to show up on Monday and get ready to get back to work, because we have some work to do to get ready for Big 12 play.
Plenty of plays and moments to look at, but I wonder, on the punt late in the game there, did you think about going for it, or was that a no-brainer punt?
At that time, I know that one would be yes. We kind of thought was, if we would have gotten one first down, then we'd probably been more in the area to go for it. But it was like in the high, was it 3 minutes or just under 2, was that if it was going to be a 3 and out, that we would between that, the 2-minute timeout and our 3, was that if we can get a stop, which again, you're saying probably going to say, well, shoot, they've run 80-some plays, you haven't stopped them yet, but which is probably fair criticism. But at the same time, at that time, with that much time in the game, we thought if we could get a stop with that we'd have a chance then to go win the football game.
Kind of a similar vein, when you take over with 1 minute left and 3 timeouts before the half, how'd you kind of, I guess, determine how aggressive or not?
We just felt momentum-wise it was still at a point where it was that we were going to try to run it. Now, we didn't do a good enough job coaching Daniel Highshaw about making sure we stay in bounds. I thought he was in bounds. It sure looked like he was. But that we were going to run the ball, run the clock out. So that was when, again, a fair question about what we're thinking, but a little bit about momentum. We hadn't really been doing much, and again, to give them that opportunity by burning timeouts and giving them the ball back with much time left was not where we wanted to be at that time.
Lance, did the rivalry side of this game kind of live up to what you've learned leading up to it?
Yeah, I'll say that, Coach Drinkwitz and I talked about the things that we talked about was, there's a lot around it, but at the same time, it's about the two teams playing, and that we both, agreed that we wanted a good, clean football game that was going to be highly competitive, and we keep our young men healthy. And I think we got it. I thought it was intense. It was intense. Obviously, there's a lot of enthusiasm and emotions on both sides, but yeah, I thought it was a great atmosphere here, and at this, again, we're just disappointed where it ended up on our side.
Lance, there's a little bit of disparity on the rushing side for both sides. How difficult was it for Jalen and kind of the run game to get going?
Yeah, like I said, we struggled up front, matching up there, and some of that. Then we found a little bit more rhythm throwing the ball. So then I don't want to say we totally abandoned it, but there were some things that, with the drive that we did score on, that I think it was almost all passes, if I'm right. So. Again, there are things that we can do. Obviously, like I said, the things we got to work on. We got to be able to go against fronts like that and be able to be successful.
3 and out to start the game, and then they march and score, and then next thing you know, you're up 21-6. What was the response, and what did that do to your sideline and just the confidence of your guys?
Yeah, you get that where you don't get off to the start you want, and they do. But I really thought in a unique way, which happens sometimes, a blocked extra point can help kind of boost your confidence and kind of get you going a little bit. And I think that kind of sparked us after a disappointing opening drive for them. you know, and then again, then Austin picks up the fumble. We get that plus Deshaun's touchdown in there. I didn't sense panic from our guys. I didn't sense panic even when they took the lead there, when we had another shot. All those things are I think impressive of our group and leadership. I think our guys have confidence yet, but again, I don't think they know that we have to get better in some areas in order to be the team we'd like to be.
We saw Bengali out there.
Yep.
Can you walk us through kind of his weekend, the grit he showed?
Well, like I told you on Monday, he was listed as out. He met with the doctors later that day, and they talked about some things that could happen, and he was out he did not do anything on Tuesday. He practiced some on Wednesday, and we told him was that, hey, if he wanted to play from the start, and I really admired that about him. A lot of times in today's era of guys, I'll sit out this non-conference game. We're open next week. I get a couple weeks rest, and then I'll be more closer to 100%. And he was like, Coach, I'm playing. And he did some on Wednesday. We told him that he needed to do something to show that he could go out there. He practiced some on Wednesday, did a little bit more on Thursday, and we made the decision that obviously John would still start, but then we would see how he felt after warm-ups, and so that's the story.
Coach, despite the loss, you guys are able to roll with the punches and show some resiliency. How important is a quality like that going into Big 12?
Well, it's going to be because, much like our conference, the closeness of games are going to be there week in and week out. And for us to, disappointed that we gave up the long one to end the game and things like that. But for us to keep battling and seeing that and seeing this group, even though disappointed, there wasn't frustration at one another or what was happening around them other than just frustration with the outcome of what transpired. So that gives me great hope about this group. I really like this team. I've told them that for a long time, and I'm confident just looking in their eyes afterwards that they're going to come to work on Monday ready to get after it and get coached and find a way to take another step.
You alluded to it a couple of times already, but pound for pound, physically, how do you feel like you stacked up against that team that's obviously out there trying to compete?
I think you know the answer. It's why you asked the question. So we'll just kind of, I could get into a lot of different factors in that, but I think you know where it's at. We got a little work to do there, and there's multiple reasons, and we'll address those as we go along.
Sure. Time for one more.
How do you approach a bye week when it comes this early in the season and you had kind of a small sample of games?
Our bye week right now is still going to be like a lot of our other ones where we'll just watch the film and do some lift. They'll do a lift Monday. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then they'll lift and run on Friday, and off on Saturday. We'll practice the next Sunday and as we continue to prepare for West Virginia. Coaches will be out recruiting some. There's no off weeks in this thing, so we know that, and again, we'll have to keep working at it. And again, as I told them, there's not punishment practices. That's a thing of the past, and whatever. You got to get back to what you got to work on. We got to find ways to correct what we're doing, whether it be fundamentally or assignment or whatever the case may be across the board. And tomorrow morning when we meet with the staff, we'll talk about what those particulars are, and we'll keep working at it. And like you said, this early in the season, we have a lot of football to play, and I'm confident this group will continue to work hard and be a good football team.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks, Coach.